Hey folks, Clinton here from CrossFit Hamilton. Welcome to the second episode of our Nutrition Knowledge Bomb. All right, so last episode, we spoke about it's not actually about the food that you eat. It's about slowing down your eating. Now, here we're going to build on that with our second anchor habit. So again, we're not going to be telling you what you should and shouldn't be eating. The first month that we coach people on nutrition, it's all around the habits. And so this one is learning to stop when you're 80% full. All right, so if you've done your job correctly and you're eating slowly, there's going to be a few appetite hormones that are going to be working for you now. And so we're just giving that opportunity for that to come into effect. And so upon which we can then build on our second anchor habit, which is eating to the 80% full. So 80% full is not a specific number. More so it's a concept, all right? So it means not eating until you're stuffed, not eating until you're full, or certainly it's more around, yeah, I'm just satisfied, or I'm no longer hungry. Now, something that we do need to articulate is that it can be very mentally, emotionally, and even physically uncomfortable. So take your time with this habit. This will take a little bit for some people to really try and dig through. So don't put yourself under the pressure too much. And I guess this habit, it's really great at continuing to teach you the appetite awareness and becoming familiar with that sense of hunger, your satiety cues as well. And also learning to differentiate between physical hunger cues and cravings. All right, so that's quite an important distinction to make. Now, a few more facts. I guess at first glance, you may not be able to identify what the cues are, understanding what each of those are. So to give you an idea, hunger cues, like things you may see are like hunger headaches, lightheadedness or feeling spaced out. And listen, as a father of four, I can testify to this one, hangriness. Not so much the kids, more me, but you get the idea. If you suffer from a hangry, that's a hunger cue. Right, feelings of eating too much. Overfullness is in like feeling stuffed or bloated, feeling heartburn, nauseated, windy, gassy, or even feeling just heavy and sluggish. Right, so we know what hunger cues are, we know what overfullness cues are. Now satiety cues, like eating just enough, is you're feeling energized or no longer feeling hungry. There's that general satisfied feeling, and something that I often like to use as a bit of a litmus test is, do I feel like I could get up and do something physically active, like go for a walk, have a play with the kids? So if I feel like after a meal I can do that, it means that I'm eating to a level that I'm satisfied with, providing I'm not feeling the hunger cues. All right, so once you start to understand what the hunger cues are and the fullness cues are, all right, some strategies that you want to learn is initially it's about becoming familiar with what the feelings, the sensations. So you may need to learn, firstly, before you know what feeling 80% full feels like, you may first need to feel like what 100% full is, or even 120% full. So once you get that reference point, you can start to understand what 80% feels like. And once you learn the cues, you'll be able to start to just pull up short of feeling stuffed. And then you can start to make plans around how you can replicate that process so that you can consistently just eat to that 80% full. All right, so once you've got familiar with the hunger cues, the first thing that we generally encourage people to become familiar with is a little thing called portion traps. All right, so portion traps are where we're routinely exposing ourselves to situations or environments or where we are inclined to overeat. And so some strategies around that is keep a log of your meals or your snacks when you're especially susceptible to those. And for each of those situations that you identify through the log, you want to start building out some actions, alternative actions that can negate that effect. All right, so if you find that, all right, well listen, I know this when we have this type of food, like a pasta. This is an example that we had working with a client. When they have a pasta, it's very easy to portion control their protein, their carbohydrates, their fats, and in a sort of meat and veg type meal. But they were finding, well, listen, I tended to overeat on the pasta or those sort of foods where it's not as easy to distinguish where your macro ratios are. So what they said was they started dishing up in a smaller bowl. And giving themselves permission to go back for seconds if they took their time and they were feeling hunger cues. So plan for alternative actions for each of the situations where you've identified a portion trap. And also practice thinking twice, all right? So second check yourself, especially when it comes to meal deals, combos, supersizes. So if you are having fast food or convenience food, yeah, think critically about that. Give yourself the second thought before you go committing to it. And also, the other thing you may want to do is consider limiting alcohol before a meal, because alcohol before a meal has been shown to stimulate appetite as well. Okay, so adjusting this to your own level, again, we're working on a continuum of where we want to see progress, not perfection. So being better today than you were yesterday. So we're on this continuum where you may be routinely sticking yourself full as a bull. There's no point just trying to jump in straight here. So you need to work out where on that continuum you fit. And some of the levels, level 1 might be just to try it. Notice what happens. Pay attention to the hunger and fullness cues. Just your job at this stage may be just becoming familiar with that. Level 2 will be monitoring your portion traps. So where are you? What are you doing? What are you eating? What are the situations where you are routinely eating more than feeling like that 80% full? Like a third level might be to develop alternative actions for a select number of those portion traps. You may have quite a big list of portion traps and you're not ready to tackle them all. So pick 1, maybe 2. Or level 4 may be developing alternative actions for every one of those portion traps. But listen, guys, as we say, as long as you're better today than you are yesterday, we're moving forward. And that's all we're aiming for at this stage, is just to get some progression and momentum. We can continue to come back and revisit these anchor habits throughout. But each time you're coming in, you just want to be a little bit better than what you were. So again, if you have any questions, shoot us a message via Facebook, email us. Our contact details will be readily available. But otherwise, hope you're enjoying the nutrition knowledge bombs.